Hello, everybody. Welcome to the New Jersey Google Educators Group Power Hour number 5. We are excited to be here with you for this last show before summer break. We have a great group of guests with us, most of which I'm assuming survived the Jersey Shore traffic like I did on the way home. Nice hour and a half ride because people like to get into accidents now that it's summertime. But we'll go down the line and we'll introduce to you our amazing paddle. Adam, up first, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, sir?
All right, thanks, Chris. I am the supervisor of instructional technology in Marlborough Township Schools. Been watching these hangouts for a bit, and I figured I would join in. Looked like you had a great lineup today with our wonderful student here, Layla. So we totally appreciate you being here. And just looking to contribute a little bit here with what we have going on and how we use Google Apps in our district. So thanks for having me
Fantastic.
on.
No, we're happy to have you. Up next, we have Mr. Jeff Bradbury. Jeff, how are you? What are you up to?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me here. It's been a great season of doing these shows. My name is Jeff Bradbury from Westwood Regional School District. I'm the tech coach and coordinator of tech integration there, and wrapping up my first year and having a great time and looking forward to the next few weeks here, going out to Denver for the ISTE conference. So lots of great stuff going on, and I look forward to seeing Steve out in Denver and getting his autograph.
Absolutely. And here's a segue to our next, I guess, the whole family. If you follow New Jersey education, it's no mystery who we have with us. I liken them to kind of like Game of Thrones, House Isaacs, because they're doing so many great things as a family. So we have Steve Isaacs with us, and Steve just won the ISTE. I want to make sure I get the name right. Where is it? The award for, no, that's wrong. Steve, tell us what you won, buddy.
Tell us what you won. I was named the ISTE Outstanding Teacher of 2016.
Congratulations, dude. Totally well
Thank you.
deserved.
Thank you very much.
I wrote it down, but it got lost in my notes.
No problem, but thanks.
Yes. And we have with you your wonderful daughter, Layla. Layla, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Layla, what grade are you in? What school do you go to?
I'm in seventh grade and I go to William Anna Middle School in
Outstanding.
Madison Ridge. What?
I go to William Adams.
Oh my goodness.
And so we kind of want to start there. I'm going to do a screen share. And I will tell you, sometimes if you're watching the show live and we do a screen share, sometimes you will get kicked out of the show. It's kind of a little bug with Google Hangouts. But just click the link that you have clicked to watch this and you'll get put back in. But it's really important. I want to do a screen share to show off one of Google's newest and probably one of my favorite features that they've just come out with for Google Slides called Google Q&A. And this commercial does a really nice job kind of summarizing what Google Q&A is. So I'm going to do a quick screen share. So I'm not sure if we could hear everything, but maybe you could see one of the reasons that we had Layla on. She was one of the featured participants in this commercial. And we wanted to talk to Layla and really kind of get an idea of how this came about. And I thought it was really cool that Google chose to feature some wonderful New Jersey students in the commercial. So Layla, how did that come about?
Well, me and my dad first presented at Young Innovators Fair in Philadelphia, and those same people, like the organizers, they emailed us or my mom, like offering a spot, kind of inviting us to go to the Google office to see Shri Bose, one of the Google Science Fair winners, present and like share her story. And we also got, while we were there, we got to like use the new Q&A feature, which was really cool. Yeah.
And so, what was it like when you were being filmed? Was it kind of, they just said, hey, kind of be natural, or did they kind of plan it out for you?
Well, they taught us to be natural, but like it was kind of awkward because like they were just like standing there, like basically watching you watch her like present.
And did you get to talk to her at all?
We talked to her briefly, like before I got interviewed, and you talked to her parents, and yeah.
And so, what kind of things, I think we were having some sound problems, but what kind of things did they ask you during the interview? What kind of things were they curious about?
Well, my question was answered, so they asked me like how it felt having my question answered, and like how I liked the feature, and I liked them both.
And so that's interesting, is as a student, if your teacher uses or would use something like that, do you think it would be more interesting when you were in class?
I think that it would be more interesting because it like also gives you an excuse to be like on your phone or Chromebook during class, but like also especially because it's so annoying, like raising your hand and then like the teacher keeps talking and then it's like, well, I had a question on the last part, but now you're talking about a new part.
Any reason that we could get kids on their phones more in school, I'm a big fan of, obviously. But yeah, I kind of feel that way too, as I know when I taught high school English, when I started to use Google Classroom, I actually got more participation out of kids who I guess were considered more shy. Do you think something like that would be one of the reasons to use something like that in class? Like, are kids more willing to ask questions that way than they would by maybe raising their hand?
Yeah, cause also like you could vote on the questions, so it's like if some other kids think that's a good question, they could like vote on it or like thumbs down it, saying like, no offense, but that's kind of a dumb question.
All right, so it's a little bit of a crowdsourcing.
Yeah.
All right. What else about the experience? Anything behind the scenes that we didn't get to see during the commercial, or?
I don't know.
Was it cool? I mean, remember when we stayed after what they were doing?
Yeah, but
Well, they were talking to Shri for a while. That was kind of cool, I thought.
oh yeah, they interviewed Shri like in front of us, and like we could have stayed or gone, but we decided to stay and like watch a little bit of it.
And I'm curious, Layla, what's your favorite subject?
Math.
Math and science. And you see a lot, Google's kind of going in that direction. So is it neat to see Shri kind of, representing the female demographic in math and science?
Yeah, it was cool because like also you would think that like math and science or at least like science is like mainly like boys because like, well, actually you would maybe think that it was more girls because girls are smarter.
I like that. That's good.
Tell it like it is.
Some girls are smarter. Yes. Most boys are dumber. That's okay.
This is a live show, right, Chris?
Hey, it's all good. From the mouth of babes,
Yep.
That's awesome, Layla. Anything else you'd like to add before we kind of wrap up with the commercial part of our talk?
No, not really.
No? All right, Layla, thank you.
Thank you.
No problem. So while we're staying in the kind of new product vein, I want to go to Jeff because there's been really a kind of, I would say maybe 3 or 4 really nice updates to the Google Apps for Education marketplace, I guess we'll say. And one of those is Spaces. And I know Jeff was really excited about Spaces. So what do you have for us, Jeff?
Well, over the last month or so, Google's been adding an awful lot of stuff. And one of the things that they've added is called Google Spaces. Now, there's a little bit of controversy here because they opened it up for all Gmail accounts, but they did not open it up for Google Apps for Education accounts. And essentially, when we look at Google Spaces, I tend to talk about it to people as it's like Google Classroom, but without the assignments. And so you can see here that it's got a very familiar outlook to it here. I've got two different spaces. I made up one for educational coaches, one for educational podcasters. And when I click on my coaches, this is essentially a threaded news place, if you will. You know, right now we have Google Groups, which is groups.google. We have Google Plus. We have Google Communities. We have all these different places, and now we have Spaces. I kind of like this, and I can kind of see how, you know, Google Groups is moving into this. So if you think of this as a Google community, your community might have 75,000 people in it. You publish something, you ask a question to it, and the community goes. Now, the problem with the communities is, of course, it is open, and of course, open comes with rules. But if we take Layla, for instance, Layla can come up with her family, and she can create a Google space for her favorite subject, for Minecraft, for instance. And she might be able to create a space where all of her Minecraft ideas and things go in here, where she can openly publish pictures and videos and anything that she wants, knowing that this is a private community, and she can feel free to do anything that she needs to in here because only the members of her family, in this case, are here. It's been neat. There is a universal app that you can get, and essentially I'll take something like this. We just basically ask a question, and then you can say something, you can link something, you can put a picture, you can put a nice little sticker here on it. There's a lot of neat things that we can do here with this. I've been playing with it a little bit. It has honestly been a little bit difficult to get people to join these because, again, they're not available for Google Apps for Education. We actually did a whole podcast on it a few weeks ago of should we be using these for our clubs or organizations? You know, should we be expecting this to roll into Google Apps for Education? I kind of have this idea that on purpose Google didn't release it for Google Apps for Education because it's in the middle of June. I kind of think that by the time September rolls around, this will be launched or this will be a little bit more developed. Personally, I like it. I think there's a lot of potential here. Is this like Classroom? Yes. If you were just to take Classroom, remove the assignments, and it's just the announcements section of it, this is almost exactly what what Google Classroom looks like. You can invite people, you can give a code, you can email an invite, you can do a lot of those things. You just can't make an assignment. So, you know, maybe they didn't include it into Google Apps for Education because we don't need to, because you know it's basically Google Classroom without the assignments, or maybe they're just waiting till September to make it easier on teachers. I don't know. What do you guys think? Has anybody tried it here? Has anybody given this a shot?
You know, if I could speak, there's that echo. So we've used it a little bit as a family. And what it reminds me of is back in the day when Google Wave was launched, which kind of unfortunately didn't survive. What I like from a perspective of using it in school is the collaborative possibilities of like a small group project within creating a space specifically for that. I think would be, you know, a great, easy use, you know. So I think it looks great from the little bit I've seen before, but I haven't done too much with it yet.
I just think there's a lot of potential here, especially when it comes to, you know, like yourself, closed family organizations that need to have access for, you know, different generations of people, let's just say, sharing here. There's certainly a potential for it. I know even with our Google Educator communities, you know, for instance, I'm in the trainer groups and I'm in the Google Certified Innovator groups. We're still using groups.google, but we've also moved into Google Communities. So we're kind of segmented with where we're supposed to put information for. That was kind of the point of the podcast 2 weeks ago was, well, which one do you start with? If you were a teacher, which one do you want? Do you want to make up groups.google? Do you want to make up a Hangout? Do you want to make up a community? And so that was the purpose for that show. Chris, what do you think as a tech coach? I mean, on one hand, we have all of these different ways for school districts to connect with each other and for teachers to connect with each other. What do you recommend when a school is looking to find that one source to communicate with each other?
I think it's interesting, like you said, to be able to break it down into smaller groups. So I kind of see maybe my whole district being involved in a Google community, and then little breakouts concerning, fifth grade or history, maybe using Google Spaces. But I think the key is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is I haven't played with this, Jeff, but you said that there is a mobile app, right?
Absolutely. And the app is really, again, it's no different looking than the classroom app. You can see where they're going with this. I'm actually excited over the next 6 months or so, and we've talked about this on the show. I'm looking to see like when Google Sites updates to this kind of visual, because obviously Google's going to this kind of a visual printout for everything here. But yeah, the app is, really nice.
And I think that's what's going to be the key is having the app. I really think communication's going more mobile, and I know what's frustrating for me because we're in all the same Google groups is there's not really a nice way to get to it onto my phone. I kind of get the emails every so often that tell me what's going on, and I read it through there. But to navigate and participate through my phone for Google Group is kind of frustrating, and I kind of have that feeling not so much as a Google Group, but I kind of get that feeling with communities as well. So I think the fact that they have an app and people are going to be able to communicate with each other in a more mobile nature, I think it'll take off in that respect. I think there's something for small private groups kind of breaking off from the main group, and I think the mobile app is a really kind of good idea, and I think that's what's going to help Spaces continue to grow. But yeah, like you said, I definitely got a Google Classroom kind of feel from it. And as you briefly mentioned, I can't wait. I almost wanted to make that the topic for this month's shows. I can't wait for the Google Sites update, which I keep hearing about. I'm hoping it's ready for September.
What are you hearing?
Just that they are working on a new Google Sites. If you are a frequent user of Google Sites like I do, I use Google Sites all day with my kids for digital portfolios and maintain a few, kind of simple sites that way. There was a survey that was going around with Google Sites when you logged in that kind of collected your data, and from what I understand is they are working on it. So hopefully that's something that comes sooner, not later. But I remember I first started hearing about it at last ISTE, so I'm hoping that sometime it'll be ready.
It would make sense if it happens now. I mean, you're going to have a lot of teachers that are looking to revamp their websites and stuff over the summertime, or start a website over the summertime. If they launch it in October, it's just behind the game. So hopefully everything updates, and I am looking forward to, usually at ISTE we have those opportunities to hear and see things that we're not allowed to hear and see. I'm looking forward to it. It's lots of good stuff coming out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Spaces I think is really cool. Slides Q&A is really cool. One of the things I wanted to talk about briefly, not sure if anybody has gotten to play with it. I haven't gotten to play with it yet, but I know a lot of people in my district are excited about Google Science Journal. Have you guys seen that? So Google Science Journal, I wish there was like a cool video or something to show, but basically it's an Android app that aims to kind of put science experiments into the hands of kids. You fire up the app, and there's a place for you to take notes, and you can also tap into your cell phone's accelerometer, your cell phone's your light sensor. But really, what's most exciting is SparkFun has created a kit around the Arduino 101 that works, I guess, in concert with the app. And so I've only been able to kind of see what people are doing with it online. I haven't gotten a chance to play with it myself. But I'm really excited. We're kind of trying to put together a Google Expeditions cart in my school, and I'm actually thinking about upgrading the phones we were going to use so we can make sure we take advantage of Google Science Journal. I think it's really neat. Adam, I know you said that you saw it.
Yeah, the app looked really cool. When I first saw the blog post or whatever about it, I was like, oh, I need to upgrade to an Android phone, get off the iPhone platform just for that app. I mean, I'm not in the classroom anymore, but looked really cool with the way it connects to, I think, temperature sensing, your accelerometer of the phone, and all that kind of stuff. That looked really cool. And real quick, back on Spaces, I don't want to tangent off too much, but that piece with the the obvious look of Google Classroom, we use Google Classroom for our PLCs. So we have principals running their PLCs through that, and it gives us that whole Drive integration piece that Classroom has, plus the calendar component. So although Spaces does give us that trimmed down for conversations offline, and like you're saying, that communication piece of ease of use on your iPhone app or on whatever app you're on, and that will definitely help. But I think the Google Classroom piece of having calendars and files and all that really lends itself to powerful PLCs online, and obviously for the face-to-face meetings still, being able to facilitate those. But for those that can't make it, it's a great place to share all those things, such as anything you would share on Drive, but also due dates and deadlines on the calendar function of Google Classroom. So teachers essentially get added as students to a principal's classroom, in our domain. So just wanted to add that piece back to that topic real quick.
No, awesome. And always feel free to tangent all you want. Like, I'm actually going to tangent off of something you said, Adam. You wanted to get your hands on an Android phone. I was actually looking to switch over. Have you guys seen Project Fi?
Yeah.
So Project Fi, if you're not familiar, Google is getting into the cell phone carrier business, and they've kind of teamed up with a couple different carriers, I guess. I think it's like AT&T and Sprint or something like that. And kind of freestyling here. But what I love about it is you really only pay for what you use when it comes to data and stuff like that. And compared to some of the other carriers, it's super cheap. But I know enough people who use it now that I really feel confident that I could go and get it. So I'm kind of locked in a contract, which makes me a bit sad. But if you are looking to switch over to Android, check out Google Fi. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah. And it works off the Wi-Fi, so you're using Wi-Fi more than you're using data. So you're basically it's like almost being on a Google Hangout on your phone, but just for Google Voice, I guess, essentially. So it looks really cool, and you're right, it's super cheap, less than like $30, I think.
Yeah, that's what it came out for me, was about $30 a month, I think, which is more. I mean, that's amazing.
That's great.
And I think a lot of it has to do with you're using mostly Wi-Fi, and you switch between different towers based on what you're doing and stuff like that. But like I said, I've talked to enough people, and I know enough people who have it now, that I feel really confident that I would totally grab it once I'm out of contract. So it might be a good time to jump ship and get Google Science Journal and Project Fi. Let's see. Steve, do you want to add anything? I saw you come in real quick.
Well, one thing on that was just I know, you're in a different situation with Google Fi where you buy the phone pretty much outright. I imagine they'll have some kind of leases and things, but that could be a determining factor too for some people. I mean, we get so used to this game that all the carriers play where we're, either leasing or buying, getting that rebate for the phone and stuff, so you don't feel like you're paying for the phone. That's one big difference there.
Yeah, I think I was looking not too long ago, and I think they had the Nexus 6 or something. There's like a $75 rebate. I think it came out to like $150 for the phone. So it wasn't too bad, but yeah, that's definitely one thing worth mentioning, is that you do have to buy the phone outright, and it only works with, I think, 2 types of Android phones right now. But it's only going to get better, and with the way cell phones are going, I think it's a nice option. So pretty neat. Let's see, what else do we have on the agenda? Adam, I want to go back to you. I know you wanted to share some of the great things that you are doing with Google Apps for Education in Marlboro. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, at this point, the teachers are doing great things with it with our students. So, a lot of teachers obviously have been running with Google Classroom. Many teachers are using Doctopus and Gubrick to, completely be paperless. Integration with Pear Deck and some other apps out there as well. I guess what I jumped on today and thought I could contribute and share was if you click that link that I put on the agenda, that would bring you to a Google form that basically kind of just scrapped that together over the last couple weeks, and we're looking at all the technology that the district uses aside from Google Apps for Education and have been for the last few years, and all in on that, but what other apps and platforms do we integrate into instruction? We have our big players, the things that we use all the time, our adaptive learning programs, Achieve 3000, Study Island, ST Math, RAS, the list goes on, right? But what do you do when you have a new platform presented to you, or as a person who vets those instructional platforms, what's the standard? What's the criteria I continue to investigate each of these platforms with? Not just, hey, look at all these awesome bells and whistles, and you drink the marketing juice, and you fall in love with the look of a program or the way something looks, and maybe the potential use of it. But I thought I'd share this Google form that I created that I myself am going to start using to vet programs and platforms, and to see really does it align with our vision for integration of technology, giving the kids ownership and transferring the learning to them. Does the program or platform help personalize learning for students? And just I put together those questions, and it's obviously a work in progress, the way everything is. This also being a good platform to kind of hack something like this up and modify as well. So I myself could complete this form. A teacher could complete the form. Students could complete it. You might take out the teacher piece of it. And for one in particular pilot this year, we actually kicked out a form to our students, and we said, what do you think of these two platforms that you piloted this year? They'll remain nameless for the sake of the confidentiality of that, so no one's thrown under the bus or anything, because both are really great platforms anyway. But we let the kids decide. We gave it to them. What platform did you like better? And overwhelmingly, they chose one over the other. It wasn't even like a close race. And so that was really surprising, because the teachers were actually, pretty much neck and neck on those two platforms. So, I think just how we use Google Apps is probably the most powerful thing we could do with them. So are we using them to redefine how we're instructing, or giving kids ownership of their learning, giving them self-direction, letting them create content with our Google Apps? And I think our teachers are doing a great job of that. Like you said, Chris, creating websites and all those kinds of things that Google Apps allow us to do. So, Chris, do you want to share that Google form if you want to take a look at it live, or do we, do you not have time for that? I mean, it can go right into, something to look at afterwards or what have you. So, what do you think?
Let's see, we have the link on the agenda, and I think you did a great job explaining it, so we'll kind of let people explore that at their leisure. But I did want to ask you, I think it's awesome that you are collecting teacher voices and especially student voices through Google Forms. How do you communicate? Obviously, you use Forms to collect that data and it goes to a spreadsheet. How are you communicating that information once you have it?
So a lot of it goes, back out to the well, I guess let me step back. So at first, the form was essentially given to the teachers to share with their students. So, that just kind of saves a little, sense of ease and efficiency. So they shared the form on their classroom page. The kids took the form. The results were then shared with me via the spreadsheet. So then I took those results and I basically used the response summary, and I took snapshots of those and just communicated those back out to the pilot teachers. Essentially, the pilot teachers were a part of a Google Classroom with me as well, so they were able to, we communicated through that classroom regularly, and so essentially from that point on, I anticipated that the teachers would have shared that news with their students.
Awesome, dude. And I'm actually going to use what you said as a segue for our topic this month for discussion, because I thought that was fantastic the way that you're doing it. But what I ask you, Adam, is do your kids have Gmail turned on?
So they do, in that it's, I don't know if I should say the string, the way after the @ but essentially it is, and they can receive emails, and it's monitored on a separate, by separate people. I guess it's not my role, but our tech team handles that piece.
I got you, because I know we got a couple responses for this month's show is if and when do you turn on Gmail for students? So you said what grade would they have access to something like that, Adam?
Don't hold me to it, but I want to say it's late middle school and up. I can't actually say the specific with firm, knowledge.
No
so
worries.
Don't hold me to that.
Yeah, because it's curious, is I have been letting a few people know we actually turn Gmail on. I'm a K-8 school district in Fairhaven.
Right.
We currently have it on all the way down to 3rd grade. I put it on. And we kind of have a little sandbox where students can email teachers or Gmail teachers. They can mail each other. And we've been doing a lot of work, especially in the elementary level, talking about kind of digital citizenship and when is the right time and what is the right way to send emails to teachers and each other and stuff like that. And, we have all the monitoring software in place like Marlboro does. But I thought a lot of people are kind of taken aback that all the way down to 3rd grade we have it on. Jeff, what are you guys doing with it?
There we go. Well, right now our district is email only for teachers, and right now we are exploring ways to broaden those opportunities for students. We're coming up with various plans. And right now we're looking out to see what other school districts are doing, and mostly how do they roll it out? Are they rolling it out and just saying tomorrow, boom, everybody's open, or whatever grades they choose? Or are you starting at the top and rolling it down? Or are you opening it up for high school for the first couple months to try it out, then middle school for the next couple months? So that's kind of where we are right now. It's an exciting time. I'd love to kind of pick your brains when you guys are saying that you're using email monitoring applications. What are those? How does it work? Maybe beyond the normal Google Apps, Google Vault. But I would love to kind of learn from anybody who's listening or anybody here on the panel. What rules do you guys have? I've seen school districts say that it's open for the high school, and in our case, high school starts in 8th grade. And I've seen school districts say middle school is only email within the domain. And I've seen school districts say, well, we're going to open up email kindergarten up, but maybe they have some kind of a driver's license program where they, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, they start to teach and train digital citizenship. So maybe by the time they get to middle school, they know it. But, we do live in a world where kids have emails at, 3rd or 4th grade. So that's where we are right now. When you guys are talking about email software, what are you guys talking about?
I forget off the top of my head what it's called, but I know that. I think the key to what we did is we kind of set up emails only within the domain, and one of the problems that we wanted to solve is starting about 3rd grade, a lot of our teachers wanted to have kids sign up for different educational programs or software. So I know, for instance, my kids, we use Tinkercad a lot. And so kids weren't getting that email from Tinkercad because they didn't have an email. So what we did is we kind of set up a sandbox where they can email other students, they can email the teachers, and then we started to whitelist the different websites that we thought that they might want to use. So like Duolingo, Newsela, sites like that where you have to register and usually have to click on an email to activate the account. So we kind of did that, and I don't know for sure. I forget what it is that we have, because it's not just for Gmail, but it's an additional Google, I guess, kind of software that lets you see who's using Drive, when they're using Drive, has access to restore deleted items, and a few nice little features. But one of the things it does, it allows for email monitoring to see kind of who's sending it to whom. And we found that to be helpful, because some people were hesitant, but when we let them know, we had these different things in place. We had whitelisting in place. We had the sandbox in place. Things kind of, they say, okay, well, let's give it a try. Adam, anything to add to that?
Yeah, we've had teachers look at something like Hapara, which is a pretty much in the classroom platform or software where you can monitor kids' screens and what they're doing on their device. We've looked at that a little bit. We haven't fully explored it, again, with a formal pilot the way we did with a couple platforms for engagement software. I want to say we're using GoGuardian, which is kind of like, Chris, what you're mentioning, one of those platforms that connects to the Google Apps admin console. Again, don't hold me to that because that's not my role. It is the actual tech department network coordinator that does handle that piece. So, but I am pretty sure it's GoGuardian, which is one of our, the platform that we're using. So, I guess that's a couple plugs for platforms that, not 100% on, but anyway.
And what was the lowest age that has active email or has email capabilities?
Yeah, I want to say it's maybe fourth, but it could be everybody.
And I want to make sure that Steve gets a chance here, but as far as digital citizenship, what do you guys use? How did you create the curriculum? When does that start? Is that a K-12 digital citizenship thing? Can we hit on that topic a little bit?
Is that question posed to me?
Anybody.
Well, all right, so I'll just add a little bit. We have computers and media literacy teachers, and that topic is integrated into both of those classes through the curriculum, and it's, we're a K-8 district, and I believe teachers are kind of pulling things from sites like Common Sense Media, as well as maybe their own teacher-created lessons about digital citizenship. And it's just kind of integrated and rolls through the curriculum all year long. So it's not like a formal, here's a month of digital citizenship. It's integrated throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, going along with what Adam said, that's almost exactly how it's going on at Fairhaven. Is we pull a lot from Common Sense, and we have a digital and media computer literacy class in the elementary school, and she integrates a lot of that stuff. When we rolled out Gmail for the elementary school, I offer the teachers, anybody who would like to sign up, I will come in and I will show the kids how to use it. We kind of role-played out different scenarios, and I tried to keep track of them each year, throughout the year, and kind of check in with them and see how they're doing. I think a few classes, I showed them how they could change their avatar after they, had so many good months of proper email use. And really the big thing was we were looking for ways to improve teacher feedback from Google Classroom. And so when the teacher leaves that feedback piece on Classroom, the students got that email notification. And I had the bookmark Gmail, and I had them go into the lab. And if you've ever seen, you can see the number of unread emails on your bookmark tab if you turn on this little labs thing. So kids, moved their Gmail bookmark to the first bookmark on their toolbar, and when they would log in, I was telling them, look and see if you have any. And so they would log in and they would say, oh, 3 emails. They would click on it, and that's kind of how they knew they had email. Then they would click on the email to go into Google Classroom, and I think it really improved the feedback because teachers were giving it. but now students were, more apt to see it. But Steve, I know you wanted to add something too.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the whole overarching question, kind of if I could step on my soapbox for a minute, one of the things, and I'll talk more education overall, I'm not talking specific to, my district or anything, but I think we have this huge fear, of liability, and the biggest danger, I think, comes to our kids where we overprotect, or not even overprotect, we lock them down, in so many ways in school, and then send them home where they have unfiltered and unsupervised at times access to technology. And like you had said, if we're talking specific about email, kids have their own email account. So they're emailing teachers with either their own email account or their parents or whatever. They're emailing each other and whatnot. I believe kids have so much to gain from, us supporting them through that process and encouraging it. In my class, I want kids reaching out to, let's say, industry professionals or things, right? And I'd rather them do it with a school email where we can, monitor that, or at least step in if for whatever reason we needed to, rather than having this weird game where it's like, well, you could do that from home on your home email, but it's all these different things. So, and the question before, I know, was when or what are districts doing? I just consulted with my high schooler who did inform me, because I thought it was the case, that in high school in our district they did turn on email, which I'm glad about. I've been dying, at least for my students, to have it, through our district domain in the middle school. And I think at the very least, myself and other teachers who are interested will be able to have it turned on, in the fall and start using it. But I don't see any real good reason, aside from that kind of like, if we don't if we don't allow them to have it, then we can't get in trouble kind of thing. And quite honestly, I'd rather stick my neck out for the kids and be there to support them through any of these things, and use that teachable moment if things don't go perfectly, rather than have that happen, unbeknownst to any of us outside of school. So I think that's a big hurdle that we need to get over, and hopefully, and it sounds like, Chris, what you're doing I like a lot, with the idea of having, and you can have that walled garden at least at the beginning, right? Like, why shouldn't students use your internal email to communicate with each other and teachers right out of the gate? And then, like you said, opening that up how you need to, especially with the trusted organizations that you use in school. And then, I think some people had said that driver's license idea, or whatever you want to call it, where kids do have the ability. And I'm not even saying that or you could allow more of it, and then, all that kind of stuff. But I'm a strong advocate for kids having that access, and us, being there, with them through that process.
So having some little ones of your own, Steve, and being such a respected educator, if you had to put a number on it, when would you say where would you roll out email? Where would you feel comfortable as a parent, as a teacher?
It's funny. I think I would say, third grade sounds good to me. I think, it's similar to how they might be capable and responsible for communicating in general and just able. So I would say around there. And it's funny, in our house, I remember I think my wife was a little more reserved in terms of when the kids got email. But I'll tell you something she does that's great. Every email my kids send with their Gmail account, she gets a copy of it. The kids know it. So it's like that she's able to be the parent that's, aware of what's going on. So you have options like that as well, and we could guide parents to things they can do at home.
That's great, and then I agree with everything you said, Steve. I really think you were right on. One thing that frustrates me sometimes that I see in the world of educational technology, So many districts make decisions based on, what their worst kid might do. And talking to Glenn and Kevin Jarrett down what they're doing. One thing I love about those guys is they're always talking about how they make their decisions based on their best kids, and they manage the exceptions. And that's something I've learned, from hanging out with those guys, and I really think that's the best way to do it. Like you said, Steve, is be there to guide them, and I couldn't agree more. Jeff, does that help you in any way? Any thoughts?
It does. Right now I'm on a hunt for a few things. I'm on a hunt for acceptable use policies to see what other school districts are doing. I'm on a hunt for BYOD or one-to-one policies. Like I said, right now we're making decisions, and I'm interested to see how other districts roll out. Do you have a parents' night and say this is the deal? Do you put together little trailer movies that kind of helps teachers and parents learn what's going on? What is the common practice today to roll out technology? Is it a video? Is it an assembly after school? This is certainly a video I'm going to be sharing with some people, so I'm certainly glad for the conversations. And you know what? If you are out there watching live or listening, find us. Comment on the little box down below, or find us all. It's going to be a long summer, and we're going to be making some pretty awesome decisions this year. So I just want to make sure that we're all making the right ones.
There you go. So you heard it. Everybody tweet and email Jeff everything that you have. He would love to have all of that information sent to him repeatedly, as often as possible. So I want to start to wrap up. I want to throw back to Steve. I know you and your wonderful wife, Kathy, are going to be presenting at ISTE on Google Classroom. Tell us a little bit about what you guys are planning on, maybe a little sneak peek on what we could hope to learn.
Sure. So last year, Kathy and I do a lot of professional development. She's no longer in the school district where I teach, but when she was, I do a lot of PD, she does a lot of PD. We did a few classes together. One was actually teaching, so our district uses BrainPop, but anybody who knows BrainPop well knows that most people don't know about so many of the features that are available. So huge plug really to BrainPop and the growth of their features. So if you don't know, hit me up and I'll share more with you. But what we did in our PD around teaching our teachers about these features in BrainPop is we said, hey, our district's using Google Classroom. Let's model that. Prior to that, we either would do some face-to-face. I did a lot of online classes using Moodle, and we decided to move all of our online PD to Google Classroom, which has been fantastic. I mean, it's funny, the ease of use of Google Classroom from the person putting the course together to the the student on the other end is just great. I mean, they were so smart, in my opinion. At first I was concerned with the features that might be missing, and then I realized that the simplicity was brilliant. So we did this whole class online using Google Classroom. For many of our educators, it was their first chance being a student in a class with Google Classroom, that kind of thing. So it kind of worked out really great as this model of PD. And then even since then, I've continued to use it extensively. But that's what we're doing at ISTE. I think it's called our session's called PD with the 1-2 punch. Talking about our modeling Google Classroom, but in this case to teach what we wanted with BrainPop. So we'll be covering both in that session. 10:15 Wednesday morning, I do believe.
Forgot to unmute. We'll do a full round of ISTE plugs. Steve, are you doing anything else?
I am. So Tuesday, I'm pretty busy doing a lot of things. Am I allowed to say Microsoft on this?
Yeah, it's about ISTE. We'll allow it.
So I'm doing actually more so Minecraft, but I'm doing an hour-long session on Minecraft and talking about embracing and leveraging student voice and having students as the experts and sharing out with the global audience. So that's one of my sessions, and I'm also on a panel about Minecraft with a bunch of awesome educators, including Diane Main, Bron Stuckey, and Sean Asantine. I'm going to say it's Shane Asantine. Sorry, Shane. Just drew a blank there. And what else am I doing? A few, couple other things here and there.
Collecting a big award.
Yeah, collecting an award. That'll be fun. We have an award ceremony the whole bit. You and I maybe can sit together there, huh?
We'll have to have a jersey table.
Yes. So so good stuff. I mean, ISTE's going to be awesome. And I'm excited. How about you?
Excited for ISTE. I'm doing an Ignite session, which I am absolutely terrified. I'm doing an Ignite session on the power of cell phones to build community in the classroom.
Awesome.
So it's going to be the scariest 5 minutes of my life. So that should be exciting. And then I'm also doing a presentation with Katrina Keene on gamification.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's pretty neat. I know, Jeff, what are you working on? I know you're going to be there.
Well, it's going to be an exciting ISTE for me. I'm flying out on Friday doing the Microsoft Summit over the weekend. And then I'm going to be spending the week meeting CEOs and press people. Let's see, who do I have lined up for? I'm definitely going to be hitting Microsoft. Definitely going to be probably speaking at the Google booth this year, meeting with McGraw-Hilt and Pearson. And when you go out there as a press person, you get a chance to meet and greet with everybody. It's really cool. So I look forward to doing all that stuff. I've been asked to do a panel discussion with a company called MC Squares, which, if you're watching, those are the little squares that I have back here on the wall. They're like these little 11 by 11 inch whiteboards. They're really, really awesome. MCSquares.com. And other than that, it's meet and greet and talking to people. I'm going to be broadcasting live. Oh, by the way, for you guys that are going to be out there on Wednesday between, I think it's like 11 to 1 or something like that, Q, the great Q PD company out in California, is going to be doing a steampunk event. So it's kind of makerspace, kind of, futuristic, lots of great stuff. But check that out on Wednesday. They're doing a Q Steampunk thing. I'll be doing a 3-hour live broadcast from that. So lots of great stuff coming out over the TeacherCast Network, and I'm really looking forward to supporting my NJ Ed members. And Steve, you are completely inspiring all of us. So keep up the great work, man.
Fantastic. And are you still rolling out the NGA podcast?
I am. We had a great show that launched today. This is and look, I'm just gonna say it. Sometimes people read and react, and my philosophy is if people actually listen, they won't react. But we had a fantastic show. Really, we did 2 weeks ago where we brought on 2 members of the New Jersey Education Association. They just happened to work for a public charter school, which is an NJEA member. And so they popped that out today, and the Facebook, because people are reading titles and not actually listening to shows. And I just have this feeling that if people actually listen to this show, they'd be a little bit more supportive. But, sometimes you purposely make a title to get people's reactions, right? But it's doing well. We just recorded our 12th episode last night. We've had 2 or 3 teachers of the year on. We've had support professionals. We've had, you name it. They're doing a really good job at getting us every kind of walk of life in there from the NJA, and looking forward to it. And the big announcement for that, Chris, is next year in November at the State Teachers Convention in Atlantic City. I'll be doing about 15 hours or so of PD straight throughout the convention, and then on Thursday we're going to do a 2-hour break in the middle of the day, and we're going to do 2 full hours of live broadcasting there. So lots of great stuff coming out of the Jersey Education Podcast. Check that out on iTunes.
Outstanding. And Adam, I know that you guys got something special coming up at Marlboro.
Yeah, we're just hosting the GAF Summit in coordination with the EdTech team, which is another great group of Google Education innovators and certified trainers. So we're just lucky to be able to host that, and myself and some other people will be doing some trainings there as well. So it should be 2 great days, July 13th and 14th at Marlboro Township Public Schools at the middle school on Route 520. So that's a plug for our district. So happy to do that for us.
I think I might be presenting at that one.
Awesome. I'll see you there.
Fantastic. And that's, you guys do that every year, right? What number is this one?
Well, as far as hosting the EdTech Team Summit, I don't know. I can't necessarily say that we've hosted a big New Jersey one necessarily. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe or I don't
First
think we
time.
have. Yeah, I
Oh,
don't think we
okay.
have a big one, Chris. Yeah.
Ah, I thought it was something that you guys did every year. What do I know? I'm just
No,
a, I'm just the host of the show that knows nothing.
no, stop.
But Adam, add that link to the doc for us so people could come and check that out.
Yeah, we'll do.
Otherwise, unless anybody has anything else, that's it. Keep your eye on the Google Educator Group New Jersey community. If you remember last year, we did a lottery for a day of PD at Google in Google, New York. I'm in the process of working out those details now, so we hope to have another one of those. You need to be a member of the Google Educators Group to be able to attend that, and that's something probably going to be late July, early August, like last year. Otherwise, keep doing great things. Adam, Jeff, Steve, thank you guys so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
All right, and this is our last show for the summer, and we'll probably, maybe late August, we'll come back, or early September, and cover the great things that have been going on with Google so we could get ready for the new year. But otherwise, thank you all, and have a good night.
Ditto.